All right, so continuing on, I wanted to add on to the video that I made yesterday about why one of my reasons for wanting to start actually two important reasons that are motivating me to want to develop my own dog breed. Number one, I want to have that chemistry with a dog that many other people are able to find in either a mixed breed or a specific breed. I feel like that's it is akin to falling in love. It's akin to finding your soulmate, but in a dog. And so since I have started working with dogs, I've kind of been just really jealous about people who do find that connection in a dog. And it's pretty amazing what it can motivate you to do. I mean, I've been dedicated to my dogs, regardless of, whether they think they're perfect or not. But it is the traits that I really adore in them that motivate me to work really hard to keep them happy. I mean, if there was nothing redeeming about them, I guarantee you I wouldn't be very motivated to do that, to do everything I do. So that's a fault in my character. It's something that I'm not proud of. I really am impressed with people who can bend over backwards and just pour themselves out for a really ugly, deformed, or mean, aggressive dog, whatever it may be. And they just love that dog despite it all. And I just think that's beautiful. But Rihanna, it's enough. She's trying to dig a hole in the back seat. I am in the car because we are moving into our new place and we don't yet have a outbuilding that I'm wanting to set up for the dog. So the housing situation is pretty interesting. We moved into a house that is only half completed. The bed there are supposed to be 3 bedrooms upstairs and a bathroom, but it's 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, and the master has been converted into a kitchen temporarily. And it's functional, but it's small. And so the rest of the house, the living room and the dining room and the laundry room and the garage are being worked on. So we are only living in the upstairs while the downstairs is being worked on. And I mean, I am totally willing to sacrifice some creature comforts for having a property, 40 acres, where we have permission to not only have our own, pets, as many as we want, as long as we keep the property clean. And I can also run my business here. So that was huge. And so we put up with a little bit of just inconvenience. And one of the inconveniences is the house is really too small for me to have my dogs in the house. We were living in a pretty big place because we were renting out 2 extra rooms and a studio downstairs. So there was lots of space. And I also was able to pull out the carpet and put linoleum down to help keep the allergens down, since Adam is allergic. But here there's carpet, and after everything we asked, I didn't want to ask, oh yeah, can we rip out this brand new carpet and not have it because Adam's allergic. And I ended up just spending so much time cleaning at the last place that I wasn't able to spend as much time with the pets. And so I'm like, okay, that kind of defeats the purpose. So our plan is to build a building, and we have all the materials to do so. We just need some time this weekend to get a good start on it. I'm going to build a building that is going to be basically like my animal house, and I'll spend most of my time there in the winter time when it's cold with them. I'll eat my meals there, and and so I can be outside with my animals, but still be warm. And so that is in the works. But I need to get back to my train of thought of just talking about going back to the video before, what motivates me to want to start this project. So one I just refreshed was that I'm looking for that chemistry. And number two is another selfish reason. I need meaning in my life, something that makes me really passionate and absorbs my energy and attention, so I'm not constantly thinking about how much I don't want to live and how miserable I am. So it really is a good distraction. It really absorbs a lot of my attention, gives me a reason to wake up in the morning. That without these things, I would likely be just focused on figuring out a plan to leave my loved ones behind and figuring out how can I make sure that they're well taken care of, and then I would make a plan to kill myself. So I'm always planning something, and so this really takes my mind away from planning my suicide. So those are two selfish reasons that really motivate me. If you hear all these sounds, Beyonce's over here just licking her lips like, oh, I want you to pet me and never stop. So now I want to kind of defend my goals by pointing out that there are some not less selfish reasons that I want to start a dog breed and defend the big objections. Okay, so the big objection, I think the biggest one is the one that everyone has about any dog breeding, and that we believe that adopt, don't shop is better. And so I covered that in the last video, or sorry, in the first video, why I think that there are some issues with rescues and why I want to develop a program that kind of meets some of those. But there's a lot more that I want to go over, and so I'll have to come back to that. So number one, there are issues with the way rescue work is done that is very nearsighted. It's really based on an emotional response to a very terrible situation, which is there are too many dogs and not enough good committed homes, people who are willing to do what they need to take care of a dog. That's pretty tragic. We wish that there could be more good homes, and we also wish that there could be fewer dogs being bred. So that is something that I am very concerned about. But I want to go into depth about how I feel like rescues are very short-sighted, and so I guess I'll just start there. If we look from ground level, we have a lot of things blocking our view, and so we can only see what's immediately in front of us. And the immediate response is we need to save as many of these dogs as possible because they're at risk for being euthanized. And this is absolutely true in some major cities. I don't know the numbers because I'm really bad remembering statistics. I have to look them up like right before I say them because numbers just don't stick in my head very well. Kind of like a sieve in that regard, which makes it difficult when I'm doing my research that I have to write things down and see them all together on a spreadsheet or paper to compare and contrast, to be able to see these patterns that would be more evident to me if these numbers would stick in my head. But the crisis is real. There are many, I'd say thousands, if not probably in the millions of dogs that are euthanized. But I don't know if that's is that daily? It's a number that's so huge that you'd just be shocked. So we know this is real, and it's very what is the solution? Because there's just not enough money to house all the dogs, to assess their temperaments, to kind of make sure that they're brought up to speed with vaccinations, or if they're not neutered or spayed, to go ahead and do that alteration and house them and advertise until they find a home. And sometimes people bring the dog back, and so for the same dog they have to kind of do the same things again. And there is no limit really to the number of dogs that can be produced. It as many as are being produced today, you know, in a year from now there could be many more if the conditions are right. And what are the conditions that need to be right in order for that to continue happening? There need to be a continued demand for new puppies, okay? And I'm not necessarily talking about papered, you know, American Kennel Club registered purebred dogs. If you look at the statistics, actually there's not a lot of the purebred dogs that end up in rescues and shelters. And the ones that do are often pulled into specialized rescues for very good reasons, which I can cover later. But the reason for that is when a purebred dog comes from a an ethical, you know, quality breeder, the breeder will take the dog back in most cases, or help the person find a new home because they've been so invested in their dog, so that the last thing they want is for their dog to be, you know, languishing in a pound. Like that would devastate them. So they will go to great lengths to make sure that the dogs that they produce are really, you know, someone goes the extra mile to make sure this dog gets a good home. And if training is needed, sometimes they'll cover the training, because like breeders are very, I mean, the breeders who are doing it the right way, they're already spending tons of their time and money for this breed. Like that is their passion. And they're not, like, if you looked at the amount of time that they put into it, they would making like $5 an hour. Like no one's making money doing this kind of dog breeding unless you're breeding something that's like a designer dogs. Sometimes can go for that much. Like some of these exotic designer dogs can go for like $10,000, and there is a certain price point that after which, you know, you're starting to make money, and that's probably around um I'd say anywhere from like 7 to 10,000. You're making money if you're able to sell a puppy for that much. But most puppies that I see sold in my area are between the low end would be like, you would hardly ever see anything lower than like $500, but occasionally you see something. 800 is also kind of on the low end. 1,000's pretty typical. And then you go up to like 1,500. You're starting to go into the more AKC registered purebreds.